we are all so lost that you try to speak to as many people as you can.
Hi guys, my name is Mary and I'm about to have my jaw surgery in 2 months time. As I've learned throughout this year of me preparing for the jaw surgery, there is a lot of things that you need to take into account going into this process. I've been through so many intricate situations where I truly needed guidance and support. I've learned so much that I've decided that I should probably make use of the knowledge that I got throughout this process in order for me to channel it into something productive and something educational for people like myself who are at the very beginning of their journey and they don't know what to do with this process. They don't know where to start, where to go, who to talk to about this, how to best approach this process. So I've decided to make a full-on documentary to talk about everything that happened to me from the get-go up until now, with a 2-month mark until I am to have my upper jaw surgery. I'll also try to involve other people around the world to participate in this documentary to help make it more exciting and interesting to watch. You will be seeing video footage documented from my own experience with some explanations and other people's experiences as well. I've actually interviewed a couple of people from Ireland and from Spain. 2 of them are just about to have their jaw surgery soon, and one of them already had their jaw surgery, and you'll hear from them as well. I hope you enjoy watching it. I hope you learn stuff that will be helpful in your jaw surgery journeys. I hope that it will be entertaining, and if you like it, please try and share with people who you think will benefit from this. Please enjoy watching and let me know what you think of it. What bothered me the most is the fact that none of those places told me what was wrong with me. None of them proposed any solutions. What they would do, they would basically ask me what type of braces I wanted, and I don't care. Any type of braces would work so long as they fixed my issue. It turns out that the majority of clinics in London are focused on straightening your teeth. My issue is totally different, and the fact that none of the 5 places I've been to saw it was just weird and strange. Kind of gave up on the idea. I thought maybe they're right, maybe there is nothing to fix, maybe I'm fine. I went on Instagram one day a couple of months back and I found this profile of this girl who had exactly the same issue, and she had an upper jaw surgery done to fix it, and she looked exactly like me. She had the same thing, and I was like, oh my god, there's someone out there with exactly the same issue and there's a solution to this problem. And I was like, oh my god, they can fix it, they can fix my face, there's a way. And I've been to all these places and they didn't say anything. Did they not know? Or I don't know what's wrong. I really don't. I was really happy to find out that there is a way out of this whole thing. You know, what you saw just now was one of the very first videos that I've filmed when I started my jaw surgery process, because I felt the need to document my story in the hope that it will be helpful to somebody else. What I was ranting on essentially is the fact that I felt that something was off with my face and my bite my whole life. I couldn't quite point a finger at it. I didn't understand what exactly was wrong with me, and for that reason I kept going to various orthodontists to try and see if they could shed some light on the situation. Over the course of 3 to 4 years, I've been to around 5 well-regarded orthodontic clinics in central London, and it was just so weird to me because none of them diagnosed me or anything. Every time I had a consultation, they would just look at my teeth and ask me a question on what type of braces I wanted and what exactly I wanted to do in terms of orthodontics. And overall, it is such a weird question to ask, in my opinion. Potential patient who's trying to understand what is wrong with them. It was just really weird because I kept putting all these hopes on these consultations to hear a professional opinion as to what may be wrong, and then in the end they couldn't say anything because half the time the orthodontists themselves wouldn't see me. I'd only be seen by an assistant who would take pictures of my teeth, and that was it. It was very strange and really disappointing, to the extent where I stopped going to orthodontists and I gave up on the whole process, as you've heard me say, until the point where I saw someone else with a similar issue that was resolved online. Now, this brings up a whole other side of the story that I will be going into more detail later down the line, but just so you know, for people like myself who didn't have that guidance as to the fact that I may require jaw surgery when I grow up, as some of the people that I know had, and bear with me, not all of them did, it is really difficult to get on the right path and find your way around it. It is very difficult first to find an orthodontist or a general dentist who would tell you that you would need a jaw surgery. It is very difficult to find a jaw surgeon, as you will find out later in this documentary, and overall it is a very confusing process if you haven't been told when you were growing up, or at this stage when you are trying to find out that something's wrong with you and you're trying to find a way to solve it. It's very difficult to find doctors that are educated on this subject, and therefore you will find that in this jaw surgery process you will need to learn a lot of things to fend for yourself, and this is just part of the process that you'll have to get used to.
My name is Maika. I am 31 years old. I'm from the south of Spain, and I want to tell you my experience through sharp surgery and orthodontic surgery or W surgery with dinioplasty. I asked for all included. I tried all of the paths I could until I was like 100% sure about my decision. I tried in the public system here in Spain, and I felt so much uncertainty. Actually, they were pushing me to do it through the private way, because they were saying that an understandable situation because of COVID and the pandemic and everything, but they were telling me that they were stopping this kind of surgeries and that I may have to wait like 4 years or something. I asked them personally, hey, can we start the process? So when the point comes, I will decide. And they told me, no. If you start privately, you go there, because if not, it's gonna be a mess. Come on. In the end, it's your face, it's an investment for the future. I hope I've made the best decision.
On another note, I'm basically waiting at the moment for my teeth to heal so that I could have an appointment to get my braces on. Apparently you can get a jaw surgery for free on NHS. They don't accept everybody. What I know for sure is that the waiting process is very, very long. I really didn't want to go through the whole waiting period of 2 to 3 years. At the moment, due to COVID, the backlog, even to see a doctor for a consultation, to see the surgeon for a consultation, is about a year, and nobody's telling you whether or not they'll accept you. That's why I had to find an orthodontist who would do it all privately. Then I had to find a surgeon also. I don't know if you know this, but in UK a double jaw surgery costs up to £25,000 and you have to pay it in full. So I could not do that. I had to find a way of going through surgery somewhere else. So as you can see with this whole jaw surgery journey, you can either take a private route or you can take a public health route, where it is an option. For example, it is definitely an option in Spain and in the UK with the whole NHS thing, but with every single option comes a whole list of things that you need to consider and be okay with. So from what you've seen, both Micah and myself decided to take a private route, and we're both hoping that we made the right decision here. But you will never know until the journey is over. And from what I know now, there's been a lot of things that probably could have been easier or harder with the route I chose, but I will be going into all of those details later. But for now, I'd like to introduce you to two girls who decided to participate in this documentary. They're from Northern Ireland, and both of them took the NHS route.
So my orthodontic treatment with the NHS could definitely have been a lot smoother. I started going to orthodontic appointments when I was 12 and I had them every 2 years until I was 18, when I was moved to a different hospital, still through the NHS, to get my braces on. And on my first visit to that hospital, I was told that she couldn't treat me because I was with the wrong trust, and I had to go on to a waiting list for another 2.5 years before I could get my braces on, which obviously extended the whole total length of my treatment. Apart from that, I also had quite ignorant and rude orthodontist who is now retired, thankfully. My new orthodontist is great, but I suppose that was just the pick of the draw.
Hello, my name's Kate and I'm currently undergoing treatment on the NHS in the United Kingdom to correct an overjet and overbite. I currently got my upper braces put on about 6 weeks ago. I'll be getting lower jaw surgery in a couple of years' time to push my lower jaw forward. I think the biggest thing is that it's taken quite a long time. I think it first started when I was about 14 and I was told then that I would probably need orthognathic treatment, so I would need the braces and jaw surgery. But because of my age, they wanted me to come back when I was 18 years old so that I'd stopped growing. So I did that, came back and got referred when I was 18, and since then I've had the usual like consultations, x-rays and what have you, and I only just got my braces put on 6 weeks ago, so that was when I was 18. I'm 21 now, so it's taken 3 years just to get my upper braces put on. To be honest, it's something that I've kind of come to terms with. I don't really have any other option. I wouldn't be able to go private. I'm just more like focused on like the end goal, so I don't mind waiting. And to be honest, I've really enjoyed the process so far. I find it all really interesting, and all of the staff and orthodontists and everyone at the dental hospital has been really lovely and really kind, and I felt really comfortable there.
So as you've seen, the two routes, the private and the free NHS route, are drastically different, and I'd say the biggest difference between these two is the level of control that you have. When you are doing things privately, you can choose your own orthodontist, you can choose your surgeon, the clinic, the hospital you'll be staying at, you can choose the date of your surgery for when you're ready. You have more control and you feel more powerful and you feel more free with that route. But when you're doing things through a public health system, the control is gone. You cannot choose what doctors will be looking after you, and therefore things could get a bit messy. You can get someone who you're really not happy with. I don't think you'll have many options of changing doctors. So yeah, that control is not there. And another thing which I believe is the biggest factor that you need to be aware of, and is the determining factor that was there for me when I was making a decision of whether or not to go private or through a public route, was the time. The time it takes to get stuff done on NHS in the UK, it is absolutely insane. For example, with Kate, it took her 3 years until she got her braces. And then with Melissa as well, there was some complications there and she had to go on the waiting list for 2 years until things could continue. Things are so very uncertain when you are not doing things privately. Things get cancelled constantly. The neurosurgery journey that could have taken a year and a half ends up being 4 to 5 years, and it's crazy. When you are in your 20s and your 30s, you just want to get it out of the way. You may feel super not confident with the braces, or you feel so self-conscious, especially in the working community, or when you're hanging out, or when you're trying to find a partner. You know, you just feel so self-conscious with this braces thing, and when you're preparing yourself for a double jaw surgery, your situation gets worse because the decompensation process makes your jaw disproportionism look way worse in preparation for the jaw surgery. This is just one of those parts of the process that doesn't make you feel good about yourself, and you're just hoping this process will end sooner rather than later. And then when you're doing things on NHS, it just literally sometimes feels never-ending. And I see that online on Instagram or Facebook groups. I'm seeing people bringing this subject up with things getting cancelled constantly, rescheduled. Some jaw surgeries get cancelled on the day when people are in their gowns, surgery gowns. You know, it's really frustrating. Yeah, things are always up in the air. That's just unfortunate side to this process when you're doing things on the public health system. I'm just 1 week away from getting braces and I am hating myself for what I have started. I want to go into the actual reasons why. So first of all, the overall cost of the whole thing is literally the same amount as a down payment for a property in London. And this is one of my biggest dreams, to own a home here. Instead of doing that, I'm selfishly fixing my looks when nobody truly gives a shit about it apart from myself. The surgery itself is quite invasive and it might lead to awful complications. This won't be just me suffering, but it will also be my family and my boyfriend. I'm just selfishly doing this to them, basically. I also want to mention that I'm going to a different country for the surgery, so this adds another level of complexity and anxiety to the process. Lastly, I'm following a lot of people on Instagram who are going through the surgery, and there is a good percent of people who are absolutely miserable with the results. They hate the way they look, and having spent all this money and going through the hell of it, not liking it in the end is just the last thing I want to think about. But it might become my reality and I'm so discouraged about the whole thing now. I'm really hoping I'm not alone in thinking this way, and I'm really hoping there's someone out there who's having similar feelings to me.
I was feeling bad because on one side I was thinking, am I doing this only for aesthetic? In the case like I go and I get tested for sleep apnea and for everything, what if they tell me, okay, you don't have it? Uncertainty, not knowing what to do and walking this path on your own. You don't know if you are taking the right steps, or you are overthinking everything, or if you are doing it right, if you are choosing right. But I think everything improved when I took the decision and just started.
The stigma is real, you guys. Hating yourself for what you've started because you may think that it's what you've started is purely for aesthetic reasons. Whether it's true or not, you may end up thinking, ooh, why am I doing this to myself? And not just to myself, but to other people around you, like your family, your partner, your friends, everybody involved. Both myself and Micah got into this mindset of doubting ourselves so much for starting this process. And I remember when I was going through this myself, I think it was 1 week before I got my braces, and I was like, should I even start this? It's so expensive, it's so dramatic, it's so almost unrealistic, you know, why am I doing this? Nobody cares what I look like apart from myself, and I don't look that bad, you know, to be entirely truthful. So I remember just hating myself for everything. On top of that, at the time I didn't know that I would be doing the surgery here in London. At the time I thought I was still going ahead with doing the surgery abroad. Everything felt a bit too dramatic, a bit unnecessary at the time. You know, it's okay to doubt yourself. It's a major life decision that you're making. Understanding that it's okay to make that decision, because the primary reason why you made that decision in the first place is because it's been bothering you. It may have been bothering you for, I don't know, a year, 2, or it may have been bothering you your whole freaking life. In my experience, I kept coming to it. I kept getting excited about trying to do something about my face because I knew something was off. So I kept going to the orthodontist, and then they would just not know what to do with me. And then I would come back and I'd be like, okay, well, there's nothing to do. And I kept going back and forth between, you know, various orthodontists, and for, I don't know, for like a period of 5-6 years, until I discovered the concept of jaw surgery. It was always at the back of my mind that something was not entirely right with the way I looked. So once you know that there is a way out of it, once you know that this can be fixed, I don't think you can truly live with yourself your whole life having not resolved this. I'm sure you'd be coming back to it, like myself, over and over again as you grow older, probably hating yourself. I would get to the point where I'd absolutely hate myself had I not gone through this. I just knew it about myself. So I think that was the string that I held on to at that time when I was just in so much self-doubt, and that's the string that pulled me through this weird time, and you know, I got to the point where I'm now having my surgery in less than 25 days. Everything just worked out. Bottom line is, it's okay to go through those moments of self-doubt, and you just need to find that string that you can hold on to for yourself that makes sense to you, and make a decision that fits right with you. What the actual fuck? I did not expect that I'll have a freaking lisp, and I did not expect to have a freaking gap going all the way from this side to that side. The only place where my teeth, well, I don't have any place where my teeth meet. In fact, the reason why I have this gap is because my last tooth is tilted, so she put a bracket in the middle of it, as there was no other space for them to put a bracket, and my top jaw now hits this freaking bracket. How am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to bite into things? I'm hitting this bracket that will definitely, I'm telling you, this bracket will fall off like literally tomorrow. First thing I wake up, it won't be there. This is literally not what I expected. I'll have to wait for my regular orthodontist. The appointment with her will happen in 4 weeks time, and until then I have to deal with this. I'm just so sad, and I feel stupid. Like, I feel so stupid, and I look even... Oh, wow.
So I got my braces on the day before I turned 19. I knew I was going to be getting them for ages because I was on the waiting list for over 3 years. So I was ready. I had made my peace with it. I got the metal ones, so you'll get the clear ones, but I got mine done through the public system. Knew what I was getting myself into, so I kind of had just accepted it, and I said, grand, it'll be fine. I got them on, and I actually, initially they were kind of uncomfortable and were hurting my lips, but then after that it was fine. So I'm going to go right back to the start of my journey. So I had a therapy surgery in the Christmas of 2017. That was to break my upper palate. So I had like a device in that like sits in your teeth and you just like twist it. So I had that done first before I got my braces. So my top lip was quite sensitive when I got my braces on, just because it was just after being numb and it was just starting to come around again, so it started to get really sensitive. So when I got my braces on, it was kind of niggling at it, but I just put the little bit of wax on and it was fine. I had my braces on 3 years, just gone there in May. It's September now, so it's almost 3.5 years. But yeah, no, when I got my braces on, I actually really I kind of liked them.
And our braces, you guys, another topic that people find very difficult to cope with when you're 8, 10, 12, 15. You don't truly care about wearing braces. The majority of people around you wear braces, and it's just understood that this is something that you need to do. And I really truly didn't care when I was growing up wearing braces. I think I wore them for 6 years or something. It's like, it is what it is. I truly didn't care. When you get older, when you are in your 20s, it does become a bit of an issue because it feels a bit awkward. It may feel a bit embarrassing to have them on. It's strange because not many people know about like orthodontic work. When you see a 30-year-old or something wearing braces, it's like, what is going on there? You know, it's weird. It almost seems like you are not supposed to wear braces when you're older. As we all know, it is absolutely fine, and to be fair, there's absolutely no shame in it. At the moment, I've been wearing braces for 6-7 months, and I truly grew to even love them. I really don't mind them at all. In the first couple of weeks, it was a bit strange, it was weird. I had a lisp, I thought that it wouldn't go away, but it did go away after like a week, so it was fine. And I got used to them. They became part of me, and to be totally frank with you guys, I think I'll be a bit paranoid taking them off because I'll be scared that everything would just go back to where it used to be, and I'm very scared of that, but that's a totally other story. But yeah, when you are in your 20s or 30s, it's, you know, it may feel really weird, it may feel really embarrassing to have braces on, and it takes a lot of strength to overcome that and to just embrace it, have fun with it. That's what I try to do. Various band colors that I used to get, and you know, just embracing it, knowing that it won't be like that forever. You will be in braces only for the duration of your treatment, which is what, 2-3 years max, I'd say, or sometimes a little bit more, but I think the average amount you are in braces is 2 to 3 years. In my case, it will only be 1 year, so it's not too bad. I understand that it won't be forever is a big thing here. Trying to enjoy the process as you are going through it is one of the things you can do to have fun with it. I also wanted to say that when you are going through the jaw surgery process, you don't always have to get the full braces like the ones I have, full metal ones. Some people get Invisalign and it's totally fine. It all depends on the situation and on the surgeon, whether or not they are comfortable with doing the whole surgery with Invisalign, but it's becoming more and more a thing. People do that a lot and it's totally fine. So if you are a bit anxious of getting braces put on, you can try and explore other options. As some of you might know, I am based in London and I'm doing the orthodontic treatment in London as well. However, for the actual surgery, I will be traveling to Spain. The reason for that is, there's a couple of reasons for them. One of them is surgeons tend to be apparently way better. I'm talking about cosmetic surgeons. They tend to focus on the aesthetic side of things more there. And secondly, the reason why I'm traveling there is because it is half the price than the surgeries are here in London. The cost of double jaw surgery in London is 25k, and that is just surgery without braces or anything else that you might need. Anesthesia, I think you have to pay extra for. You have to pay for a day in a hospital. They're actually asking to pay the full fee in one go. They don't offer any financing options, and I was appalled at that. From what you've seen in the videos I've just shown you, you're probably thinking, why would I go abroad for such an invasive surgery? At the time, I just felt like there was no other option for me. And if you're doing things privately and the costs of jaw surgeries are extremely high in the country you're from, by default you start looking outside of your country for more affordable options, and people do that a lot. I've noticed people travel to countries like Turkey or Romania or Bulgaria or like Poland or even Korea for surgeries of this type because they're way more affordable there. And they did say that Spanish surgeons are considered better or something. It's not necessarily true, it's just compared to the surgeons in the UK, where the jaw surgery procedures are primarily focused on the fixing the functionality of things. Abroad, it just feels like the aesthetics is the priority there, and that's why the assumption is that jaw surgeons are better or something, but it's not necessarily true. So yeah, that's what I did. I was thinking of doing this abroad because at the time when I called my insurance company, they said that they will not cover it. And from what I've gathered, costs of jaw surgeries here, if you were to do them privately, would range between 20 and 30k, and that's almost just too much for me to even think of. So I started looking outside and I found a really good doctor, and I was very happy with them and the pricing they provided, and with the level of expertise and the character, and everything was just perfect. And I wanted to do that. I was basically happy to go ahead with my surgery abroad, and I think it's okay. People do that because a procedure like that can cost a lot of money, and when doing that, when making a decision to go abroad for jaw surgery, you need to be aware of the healing process, how hard it can be. You need to be aware of the fact that if things go wrong, you need to go back and see a surgeon. So if you're thinking of coming back home 2 or 3 weeks post-op and then something happens, you need to prepare yourself to travel back so that the surgeon could assess the situation and do something with you. I think it's a way more difficult and stressful procedure to travel abroad for a surgery like that. But then if you look at the States, for example, people travel from one side of the United States of America to the other side to have their surgery, and then they fly back. So in a way, it's somewhat similar for like European guys like us who would travel to Spain. It's like an hour away. It doesn't seem that bad or that's out of proportion. It's literally very close. So, you know, it's an option. It's out there, it exists, and people do that a lot from what I've seen. As you will learn by watching the documentary, things didn't work out the way I planned. Everything worked out better for me, and I'm not going to spoil anything, so please continue watching and I hope you like it. The topic that I wanted to bring up today is regarding insurance. Insurance type that I have at the moment is AXA. I only have like a basic plan through the company I work for. I call them up and they do not cover jaw surgery or anything like that, and they only do basic yearly coverage. They cover fillings and crowns for up to £400 a year. That's max that they can go for. Having learned that, I just gave up basically on the whole idea of insurance. But then when I joined the UK jaw support group, I've noticed that there's like a lot of people who are actually using their insurance providers to cover jaw surgeries. And I was like, hold on a sec. So it is possible to use your insurance to pay for this jaw surgery, at least partially. Anything would help. I'm actually clueless. I just feel so stupid for not looking more into this thing. I'm just focusing on getting it done. I'm not exploring any options that might be available for me, and I feel so ridiculous. I'm like, what am I doing? I have so much time on me to look at this thing and explore more options and maybe find something that I will personally benefit from financially, because the surgery is super crazy expensive. The process itself is so complicated already. I myself didn't know what wording I needed to use, what words I needed to say to my insurance for them to take me seriously. The same way, I'm not sure my doctors would know the exact way. Maybe they haven't had that experience before of writing something like this up. I'm not sure if they had that experience. Even people who work at AXA might not be as experienced in dealing with this specific request. So the bottom line is, for me to be able to get something out of this, I'll need to ensure that everything is written out as perfectly as it can be. Yeah, it's quite interesting because it feels like it's very similar to like a court case, I'd say. Like, everything you say has to be so specific and so targeted and so careful, because one or two things can just kill it all in the bud, you know? So it is a really interesting experience for me to go through. Hello, sorry? Yeah.
Hello. Thank you ever so much for your patience. Good news. We're going to be able to support this treatment for you with Mr. Luke Cascarini. So I've covered the consultation retrospectively speaking. That has already taken place. It has taken place already. X-rays, ultrasound scans, blood tests, as well as the surgery on the 5th of September at Harley Street Specialist Hospital. And then you've got the follow-up consultation to discuss the next steps.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
As far as insurance, I'm really surprised I didn't have trouble getting approved for the surgery with my insurance in the United States. The company that I have is one that, if you look up, you know, in Reddit or anywhere, this company, insurance company, doesn't approve a lot of jaw surgeries, and it seems like it needs to be an extreme case. But I got approved, I think, because my insurance is self-funded through the company. So the insurance company just kind of manages it, I think, but the company still has the end say if they'll approve something or not. And I read that in those cases, you can, if you get denied, you can even appeal to your HR department, your benefits department at your company. So it's up to them in the end if they want to pay for the surgery or not through your insurance. So I think that's probably why I got approved. is just because I'm in a self-funded plan through the company. So I'm really lucky that they are paying for the hospital stay and the anesthesia.
With regards to insurance, I went privately for my surgery. So I had my braces done in the public system. I had health insurance. I was going privately, but my private and public appointments both came out at the same time. So I was like, well, instead of paying the $6,000, I'll just go through the public system. But for my surgery, I had to go privately. If I had to wait for it to be done publicly, I'd still be waiting, just because COVID pushed everything back. Everything was just a bit slower. So I had my health insurance, so all I done was I rang up my health insurance company. Initially what I done was I emailed my surgeon's office and asked them for like the surgery code. It's like a small code and it just basically says, well, this is what the type of surgery is. And then I rang up my insurance company and I just explained to them, I'm going for this surgery. I didn't have a date at this stage. I just wanted to see if it'd be covered initially, just so in case I had to save for it. So I rang them, gave them the little code. There was 2 codes because he wasn't sure if it'd be a lower jaw surgery or an upper and a lower, because we were waiting for my braces to be finished. So I just gave them the 2 codes. They put them into the computer and Air Health Insurance covered it. So that was fine. I had no issues with it. All they told me was that when I arrived to the hospital, I'd have to pay €50 just for like some administration fees. I was like, that's fine. So went to the hospital, paid the €50, filled in a few forms, and that was me done and dusted. So that was it. Insurance wise, for me, it was very, very straightforward.
As you've seen, insurance can be either very potentially unnecessarily complicated, as it's been in my case, or very straightforward and very easy and simple, like it's been in Kelly's case or Robin's case. And there may be a couple of reasons for that. For example, in my case, when I called my insurer up last year before I started the process, they said that they're not going to cover anything. And to somebody who doesn't know anything about this process, first thought is, okay, let me ask if my insurer will cover it. And then they call them up and they're like, look, I need to have a jaw surgery, and they don't know much about the process and how to approach it. They'd probably get the same response as myself, saying, no, it's cosmetic, it's this, that and the other. What Kelly did was perfect. She saw a surgeon, the surgeon gave her the code, she called the insurer up with the exact code, and then they just said that they'd cover it. So I could have done that, but I didn't do that because I didn't know how to go about the whole process. I never had to deal with insurers before, and I didn't know how these things operate. It's not like you can call them up and ask for advice as to how to approach things, because it's in their best interest not to cover things, I believe, but this may not be true, it's just my opinion. So yeah, if you are trying to figure things out and everything, don't get discouraged if you called your insurer up and asked whether they'll be covering things, because you truly only need a couple of codes from the surgeon. Your best bet would be to just go have a consultation with a surgeon who has experience, and this is another important bit. You need to see a surgeon who has experience working with insurance companies. So you need to go see your surgeon, ask for a code, and then call the insurer up and give those codes to them, and that would be it. So I just wanted to add that it can be very stressful, and it has been very stressful for me, and I'm sure you'd understand, because the whole stress of going through the jaw surgery is already big enough, and to add that extra stress of thinking of how you're going to pay for the surgery, especially when you're talking about huge amounts, almost £20,000 and even more at times, it just adds to the stress. So not knowing until almost the very end, when you are about to have a jaw surgery, whether it will be covered or not, it's quite stressful, and it's been incredibly stressful for me, as you've probably seen in my vlogs. I was very happy to have it all covered in the end, and I'm very grateful that it was covered in the first place. To end this insurance kind of situation topic, I wanted to add that from what I've seen online, and I'm talking UK here, you can have a corporate insurance plan like I do. So I got my insurance from work, or you can have an individual insurance plan. And from what I've seen online on Facebook groups and Reddit and stuff, if you have a corporate plan, you have much higher chances of getting jaw surgery covered compared to having an individual plan. Now, if you are doing your research or anything, I would highly recommend looking into this specific point to just understand more and make the decision that is right for you. Honestly, at this stage, I'm just so fed up with the whole thing. I'm fed up with the amount of time I'm spending on researching jaw surgery, the amount of options, the amount of things that can and cannot happen. It just takes so much time in my life, and I really just want to get a dog. That's all I want. But it's highs and lows of the potentiality of something happening. It's just too much, together with other things that are happening. Everything combined, it's really getting to me. Like, I'm really sick of everything. I just want it to be done with. At this stage, I really don't even want this surgery anymore because, you know, just totally giving up on everything.
Hello, my name is Salman, and I want to talk about my own jaw surgery. I've been having orthodontic treatment for like 3 years, and it's been the most stressful thing that I have ever experienced in my life. And now it's coming to an end because my jaw surgery will be in the next week of September, and I have not prepared myself mentally and like physically for this process yet, and because I haven't been preparing myself mentally for this, I've been suffering from body dysmorphia, like social anxiety, like people would judge me from the way that I look. And I've been looking in the mirror, like checking myself, taking a lot of photos from either side to change them, some photo editor applications on my mobile phone. And I've been having sleepless nights because of fear, like having the jaw surgery. I'm thinking about the surgeon just cutting my bones. Like, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about the jaw surgery process and how it is done, and the images are so bad, like how the process is being handled. It's so bad. The reason why I wanted to do this is that because my face looks so big and long, I do not want to look the way that I look right now, because it is so mind-boggling. That's what I can say. This whole process just changed me so much. I made some radical decisions about myself, about my life, basically. Like, I dropped out of college because of the anxiety, because of the pressure, mental pressure that I've been through, and I just want this to be over, you know.
The jaw surgery process can be really mentally draining. I guess you're experiencing it the most when you are grown up and you feel like something is wrong with you. The jaw discrepancy and the way your face looks bothers you so much, you feel like you don't fit in, and then people around you may start pointing out that biggest insecurity of yours, and then it just gets ingrained in you that something is wrong, and you have to wait until you can start fixing this, because in order to fix the jaw surgery problem you need to wait for your jaws to stop growing. You need to figure out a way of fixing it, and then the braces process gets started, and it can have a really strong mental effect on you. I am not a good example of it because my jaw discrepancy was camouflaged. It's not as visible as some people have it, and I'm really lucky in that regard. However, as you've seen, some people did have a really hard time experiencing mental effects of having a jaw problem, and it's not a good thing to experience, and it is a really dark place to be in. I just wanted to say that it is understood that this process is really difficult, and I guess understanding the brutality of this process and everything that comes with it, if you know someone who is going through a jaw surgery process, or if you yourself are suffering from jaw surgery, the best thing you can do, I guess, is surround yourself with people who understand that, who will support you throughout this journey. Understanding the jaw surgery process is quite brutal, and it takes a lot of mental strength to just be cool about it or not be cool about it. And look, it's one of those things that if you are insecure about it, it's totally valid, and I've been insecure about it, though my problem isn't as visible. One of the best things you can do to yourself while you're going through this journey, even before you started a braces treatment or anything like that, surrounding yourself with people who understand that it's difficult to go through this, surrounding yourself with people who understand the importance of being supportive while you're going through this, but with people who are going through the same thing. There's such strong community of people who are going through jaw surgery, and it's one of the best parts about this process, I guess, because you find people who are experiencing exactly the same thing as yourself, and you feel accepted, you feel understood, and you feel supported. This community is just incredible. I've learned it for myself, and I wish I knew about it before I started my jaw surgery process, because it's always good to surround yourself with people who are on the same page as yourself, because you will find that people around you who don't have this problem may even put you down for it. You may start doubting yourself. They may say things like, you're beautiful as you are, and why are you even thinking about it? And this is literally the worst thing they can say to you. I'm sure many of you have had those people in your life. For example, my whole family doesn't understand this, and I just had to detach myself from them, and I just had to find my own people who understood me. And then when there was paperwork in front of them proving that I had a certain thing that needed to be fixed surgically, they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, it is an interesting thing to be going through. It's not something that the majority of people are going through, but it's like one of those things. I received such amazing response from everyone on Facebook, on all 3 groups where I posted today, that it truly meant the world to me. I was feeling really alone in it, and just having people who understand what it feels like to be in my position and hear what they have to say about the whole thing and listen to their reading their advice. And that advice was like really solid advice as well. It was really good. It just made my heart melt, truly. It made me feel really, really good and supported. And it does make a difference when there's people around you who understand and support and wish the best for you.
I started off watching YouTube videos, especially when I first got referred. Pretty much spent the past 3 years looking for every single different vlog I can find. I think it's actually been a bit harder to find vlogs of patients that are going through NHS. A lot of the people are in the US, which is still interesting, obviously, just to see the actual process of the jaw surgery and recovery, but it's been hard to find more stories of people who are going through it on the NHS in terms of how it works, in terms of how long it takes and what happens at each stage. But overall it has been really interesting anyways to see other people's stories. And then it's been more recently, just before I got my braces put on, and I started actually looking up on Instagram and Facebook, joined a couple of Facebook groups, and I started my own Instagram page to kind of document my progress, and that's been really nice. I think the biggest thing is that there's definitely a lovely sense of community, and people sharing their stories and hyping each other up and answering other people's questions and problems, so that's really helped as well. It's kind of made me see more, you know, like obviously I didn't know things about relapse and stuff, which is obviously added a bit to the stress, but it's also made me more aware of like complications and things like that.
I mentally prepared for jaw surgery by doing a lot of research into the risks that my doctor was telling me that could potentially happen, what that would mean if it did happen to me. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos of vloggers who were recovering and what helped them. Joined a few forums on Facebook and Instagram and Reddit to just read about people's experiences. And at the end of the day, I felt that my surgeon had my interest best at heart, and just knowing that I was in good hands really was the best mental preparation.
We are all so lost that you try to speak to as many people as you can, to have as many opinions as you can, guidelines here and there, and you ended up, for example, this week many people I met on Instagram, patients for jaw surgery, they had their surgery. I am so pushing them forward and supporting them, happy for them, because in a way, like, we've been together through this path, you know, and many people ask me as well, and I ask them how do they feel. Your friends and your family just can't imagine a little bit how you feel, but they really know what you're going through, all your feelings, your nerves and everything. And this is good, a sharing community that this brings.
Interestingly, one of the hot topics at the moment, Facebook groups, is people being worried that they will not accept the new face after the jaw surgery. And I find it very interesting because on the one hand, the surgery will fix the aesthetic deformity caused by jaw issues. It's interesting to see that while they do hate the way they look, getting used to the new reality of this upgraded version of your face is a really difficult psychological experience, and I'm guessing everyone experiences it. You get used to you, right? Though you might hate yourself, you really get used to what you look like, and accepting this new you, though it might be a way better version of you, it's difficult. And it's not just you accepting yourself, but also other people, your family, your friends, the way they treat you might be different. So gaining that confidence in the new looks that you will get, and you will definitely get, like, a lot of things will change. The shape of your nose will change, the bottom part of your face will just be different. You know how when you like change your eyebrow shapes or anything, like, it literally changes everything. Any minor change you do to your appearance changes the overall thing, changes the overall perception. So jaw surgery will be changing it, and it will be definitely challenging to accept this new reality. And just knowing about it is good enough. Preparing yourself mentally is good enough, and then creating that bubble around you of people who are going through the same thing, and all of that, everything you need, just making sure you have it for that time. It's a really important thing to do. While we may think that the journey before the actual surgery is quite difficult, stressful, complicated, very far from being straightforward. The truly most difficult part, I believe, starts from actually going through the jaw surgery and recovering and accepting the way you look. I found that a lot of people are struggling accepting the way their faces end up looking post-op. I guess the biggest reason for that is because the swelling takes so long to go down. The majority of swelling would be down by months 3, I guess, but it'll take up to a year for all of it to go completely down, and reminding ourselves during this time that the results that you're seeing are not the final results can be quite difficult, because you'd expect everything to change and you'd expect yourself to look better and feel better about yourself right away, but then it's not the case for such a long period of time. And I guess what makes it worse is when other people who've known you for like a long period of time look at you and say inconsiderate things like, to be fair, you look exactly the same as pre-op, or it's just really stressful for the most part because it's very difficult, not just mentally but also physically, to go through this process and recover. It's a major surgery. Apart from the pressure that you put on yourself recovering, getting that extra pressure, external pressure from other people, is just the worst, I think. So allowing yourself time to get used to the way you look, being kind to yourself, understanding that things will take up to a year to get better, using various techniques to help with the swelling, like for example lymphatic drainage massage is crazy helpful. I've heard icing yourself, drinking turmeric to some degree. If you are struggling with swelling, just look into all of those options, because swelling does make things look worse than they are in reality. And it's not just the swelling part. I'd also want to say that you can sometimes go to a doctor and say, look, I feel like I'm not as symmetric or anything, you know, as I'd expect myself to be post-op, and they'll be like, well, on a skeletal level you're fine. What you need to remember is that your muscles and your tissue and everything needs to fall into place, and your nerves need to get back to life. They need to regenerate so that when you talk or when you smile, everything is where it needs to be. So yeah, it's a very long process, like altogether. Before the surgery, leading up to surgery itself, and recovery, it can be very frustrating. One more thing I wanted to mention is that the majority of people are not happy with the way their nose looks. The width of their nose usually gets wider, gets bigger post-op, and it's always a good idea to speak to a surgeon before the surgery itself, because what they can do an LR stage. The stage that basically would hold the nose in one place, not letting it go super wide. And if you didn't discuss this point with a surgeon pre-op and you ended up not liking the way your nose turned out to be, it's not a big thing, because you can always have another surgery afterwards just to correct that. Now I understand it may seem like, just do another surgery, it's so easy to say. It's not an easy thing, especially going under for the second time just to fix something that wasn't done correctly before, you know. But I just wanted to put it out there. This option exists. If you're truly struggling with accepting yourself and your nose not looking the way you want it to look being the biggest part of that, there's an option of fixing it. There's so many people who are just not happy with the results that they got. It's crazy. Sometimes there's just no difference at all. It must be so heartbreaking for those people, because surely they know that nothing truly changed. I feel so sorry for those guys, because first, it's a lot of stress, a lot of mental health, a lot of money, a lot of time wasted on something that wasn't fixed. And coming back to the expectation side of things, like, oh my god, imagine you waited for 2 years for the surgery, and then you are doing it on NHS, and then it gets delayed 4 times, and then the result is just not there, or the result is not as good as you thought it would be. And I'm talking about not just the immediate result, because you can't see it. The actual result will show after like a year, but I'm talking about, like, I don't know, the middle ground here is like 6 months post-op if you're not seeing drastic changes or the changes you expected to see. It's like, just, this is the worst, I think. This is so bad. Managing your own expectations and being as realistic as you could be about the whole thing is the best thing you can do for yourself. And this whole process changes you. You start thinking about things you never thought of before. You start seeing all these weird tiny imperfections that you've never noticed before, and you're just focusing on them so much.
Of course, I'm scared that anything bad happen, but you have to go with it. You never know until you do it. And also the fact that nothing changes, and all the expectations that you think, okay, I'm gonna sleep better, breathe better, maybe I'm gonna stop having asthma, I'm gonna be able to close my mouth easily, comfortably, and when I stop having this kind of tired face and long face syndrome, and it's gonna be more symmetric. I think it's another feature, like very common, that many of us, we are more, I think no one is symmetric, but we are more self-conscious about our asymmetry. I think this affects also our self-esteem or our confidence. I hope also that it will change, but my fear is that it doesn't, or it brings little change, having arrived up to here for nothing. I know that it's not the case, but for this reason I try to lower my expectations and try to think that, okay, whatever the benefits that comes from it are fine.
My biggest expectation is that it will take a long time, and I think that's definitely helped with the process, is kind of coming to terms with that, not having any expectations that things are going to suddenly like pick up and they'll be done in like 2 years, because I know that that's not the case. So that's helped a lot as well. And obviously, you know, any improvement will be a good improvement. I'm hoping that it works out really well. I think health wise, I don't actually think that my overbite actually causes many issues, I guess. I do get lots of like jaw pain, and I have had a couple of flare-ups where it's like kind of an all over the head kind of thing. You know, I've had days where I've literally like not been able to sit up or do anything because it like hurts that much. But I've been told by my orthodontist that there's a chance that that might not be fixed by jaw surgery, and that might be something that I just have to deal with. But you know, what will be will be. But I've never been told that it's like something that's affecting my breathing or anything, but I'm quite interested to see when I want to do get jaw surgery, if I do feel like there's an improvement. I'm just used to how I breathe now. Maybe that's normal, maybe it's not, I don't know.
Expectations, you guys. Expectations is a whole other topic. You can write a book based on just the expectations that people place on this jaw surgery and how everything is going to change for them after the jaw surgery and all that. But what I wanted to zoom in this part of the documentary is the biggest fears that people have going into this process, and how everything may not be as you want it to be post-op. From what you've seen just now in the video I showed, is me going crazy about the fact that in some cases, and I want to underline the fact, not all cases, just some cases, especially minor cases like mine, with some of them you may not notice much difference at all pre and post-op, and that fact alone can be very scary, because you may think that post-op you will just turn into this gorgeous human being, as you sometimes see in jaw surgery cases where people end up looking so amazing post-op, and then you get it in your head thinking, okay, I'm gonna go into this process thinking, knowing, hoping that I will look as good as that person. Now, it's all good to have that expectation, but at the same time it's also good to understand that we're all different, and the baseline we're working with is different. The surgeons we choose have different experience. The surgical movements that we've agreed upon with our surgeons may differ entirely from the surgical movements some other people agreed upon, and therefore our results will be different, and it's something that we have to know of. Unfortunately, it doesn't just go for the looks side of things, it also goes for all other things that you may be struggling with. Things like sleep apnea, you may still have it post-op. TMJ, for example, one of the biggest reasons why I'm going ahead with the jaw surgery is to try and fix my TMJ popping and clicking, because I'm scared that it may get worse as I grow older. But in the majority of cases, TMJ problems don't get resolved by jaw surgery. In fact, they may get worse. So I have to be aware of that fact. Whether it's an aesthetic benefit that you're looking for with the jaw surgery, or like a health benefit situation, the best thing you can do for yourself is hope for the best while still maintaining realistic expectations of things that could and not get resolved by the jaw surgery. Understanding that we may still have the issues that we had pre-op, post-op, confidence issues or health related issues, just know that jaw surgery isn't an answer to all of that. Also, it's worth noting that people whose jaw discrepancies are really drastic and really big usually get the best results possible, purely because the difference that they had pre and post-op is so dramatic. It just feels like their results are so much better. Whereas when it comes down to people like myself, whose movements are going to be so minor, we may not see anything at all. Getting ready for that is our job. Hey guys, so I just got home from an absolute disaster of a surgeon appointment. It was really bad by any standards, you know. When you go to a doctor of that level, and by that level I'm talking cost here, you know, and prestige, you don't expect that. So let me tell you what happened. I go there, they make me fill out the form, and then I wait for a couple of minutes, and then the surgeon that I chose comes out asking me to come in, and I go in there and I take a seat, and then it's like a total silence, because he's looking at his computer screen reading all the documentation I provided 2 weeks ago. Now that was a bit of a like, did you not read it before? Like, what's going on? I spent so much time gathering everything for you to look through so you're ready, and it wasn't done. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens next. And then he breaks the silence by saying, so you already have an orthodontist, you're working with like, who is your orthodontist? Just so you know, I don't work with any other orthodontists apart from the 2 I have in my clinic here. And I was like, all right, well, that's fine. And he was like, so why did you come here? I was like, well, I wanted to hear a second opinion, because, you know, this is quite an invasive procedure and stuff. And he was like, well, the thing is, like, I can't give you a second opinion because I'm not going to work with you, because you're not working with an orthodontist approved by me, so I can't even give you any advice. And then I think he continued reading my thing, my paperwork, and she's like, oh, by the way, if you are to get your jaw surgery approved by AXA, it's not going to happen. In my career, in my 20-year career, I've never seen anything like that happen, because AXA sees it as an aesthetic procedure and it's not going to happen for you. Fair enough, but I didn't feel there was a need to be so abrupt about the whole thing, and negative as well. There was no need for that. It's okay. I think right afterwards I was really frustrated. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I just wasted my time. But at the same time, I don't think I wasted my time. I think I confirmed a number of things I already knew, and I also understood more about how these things work. It wasn't for nothing, for sure. The bottom line of my face-to-face consultation came down to him saying that I will not benefit from a double jaw surgery. I will not fix my asymmetry. The jaw surgery will not fix my TMJ problems. My problem of a weird smile comes from the fact that I have retruded maxilla, and that can be fixed by an upper jaw surgery alone, which is in a way good news, but also, he said, as our muscles get used to where they are, the chance of relapse is high. So he said I need to be aware of that, and it's fucking with me now, because I've started it, I'm halfway through the process, I'm like literally almost there, and all of a sudden, like, this information comes along when the original surgeon I saw said that I'll need a double and a genio, and this guy says entirely opposite fucking thing, you know. It just goes to show that everyone is different, everyone's experience is different, and you have to go and see other surgeons, and then go ahead with the one you trust most. At the end of the day, it's your mistake to make, and it's your gut feeling, and it's you and nobody else that you will have to blame for if shit goes wrong. I just have to be aware of all the outcomes, he said, and we need to be realistic. And I am trying to be realistic. I want to be realistic. Of course I want to be realistic. I don't want to live in this pink dream, spend a shit ton of money, and then wake up post-op and be like, what the fuck happened, you know? I want to be realistic, but also the fact that his advice was entirely the opposite of what I got with my first surgeon is a bit concerning. Like, who do I trust, you know? Like, who the fuck do I trust with this? What is also concerning is the fact that he didn't examine my mouth or anything. I find this so strange. How do you not, you know? If you're an oral surgeon, how do you not want to check where I am at with my teeth and stuff, because you'll be cutting that shit. Anyway, he said that he'll send me a report and stuff, and he also said that Axel will not cover it. Axel will see it as a freaking aesthetic case. I don't know if this was what I wanted to hear. It may have been what I wanted to hear. It may have been like the truth that I needed to hear. But at the same time, just because it's so different from what I've heard from another surgeon who's also really experienced in the field, is what is concerning. But at the same time, you guys, I think I'm subconsciously trying to defer myself from having a surgery, because I'm not doing my best at like saving money for it, you know. I'm not doing my best at that, and it's really important for me to be able to do this because Axel won't cover it, unfortunately. So I have to do it out of pocket, and so I'm not doing that. And I'm like seeing all these surgeons, you know, that consultations cost as well. Like every single consultation is £220 to £300, and I'm seeing 3 surgeons in a row. That's like almost £1,000 gone, and it's a lot of money, you know. It's a lot. It is messing with me a lot, the whole thing. I thought it would be a little bit more straightforward, but like as I proceed with this journey, it just feels like it's getting more and more complicated, and I'm now at this groundbreaking point where I have to make a decision of what surgeon to go with and stuff. And I thought at this stage things would be a bit simpler, you know, when I finally get to meet the surgeons, professionals, face to face, and hear their opinion on things, as opposed to trying to come up with a surgery movement type myself, you know, try to do research. I thought meeting with surgeons would make it easier, because they'll just, you know, assess everything and propose treatment plans and stuff. And it's just so fucked at the moment. Like, is it the same for you guys? Like what's going on? I don't understand. Maybe it's not complicated at all. Maybe I'm just making it complicated. Maybe like the way I look at things makes it difficult for me to process this journey like normally, you know. I don't get it. Like, how the fuck is it so all over the place? Millions of people have this surgery every fucking day around the world, and I don't know if anyone goes through the same thing, you know. I'm getting messages from people where they just ask for opinions, and when I'm not smiling, I look amazing, you know. I look really good, and I really like the way I look. So I can understand all of you guys who look at me, who watch my videos and say like, what the fuck, like, what are you doing? You look amazing. Like, what the fuck is all of this about? You shouldn't be doing this. But then my smile and my profile smile is like, okay, I feel like I have to defend myself by like showing shit over and over again. Or maybe I'm just doing it for myself, you know. Like, I'm so confused at this stage. You know, maybe I do look fine. Maybe I just created this problem for myself and people around me, and this problem isn't there. Maybe everything is fine with me. Oh my god, you guys, I really am speechless right now. I feel like I need some time to like process everything that just happened. Oh my god, this consultation has been so perfect. This is exactly what I had in mind when I would think of a consultation and what they need to be. He was so kind and listening to everything I was saying. There was no pushback or anything. He was so excited about the whole treatment and quickly he prepared the treatment plan, and he was just like, oh my god, like, I'm so relieved right now, and I'm so happy that I'm definitely going ahead with this surgeon. I feel like this is exactly what I wanted, and this is the surgeon I would trust. As you can see, I had a bit of a struggle finding a surgeon. It was a really stressful experience for me overall on many levels. So, as some of you may know, at the beginning of my journey, I didn't know much about jaw surgery, and I thought it would just be like standard procedure, you go, get out, and everything is cool. But as I learned more, I understood the invasiveness of it better. I understood all the possible poor outcomes and learning everything that can go wrong. It's always better to have a surgeon next to you, so if stuff goes wrong, you can go back and talk to them about any issues you may be experiencing or anything like that. So traveling to another country would be a bit of a far cry, I'd say. Having learned that, but also the fact that just generally seeing as many surgeons as possible is a good practice, because everyone has their own level of expertise and everyone's opinion is different. Generally, you just need to find a surgeon that you will be most confident with going into this process. So I thought to myself, okay, I need to see some specialists here in London as opposed to just trusting that one surgeon, though I was really happy with them over the video consultation that I had. In the end, what happened is I booked 3 consultations with 3 surgeons in London, and from what you've seen in the videos I've shown, not all of the consultations that I've been to went according to plan. Those experiences weren't a total waste of time. They clearly showed me things that I never thought of before, and throughout this process of me trying to find the surgeon I would be okay with, I've discovered things that I wouldn't be okay with, and also it just taught me how this process isn't straightforward. And hopefully by looking through my experiences, my videos, you would learn for yourself as well that it's always a good idea to see a couple of surgeons. If you don't know what to do with this jaw surgery journey, seeing surgeons who are not as responsive as you would expect them to be, or aren't as respectful, or entirely opposite of what you would expect an ideal surgeon to be, it can put you down, and it put me down so much, especially at times where the surgeon's opinions would just be dramatically different from one another. And for a person who doesn't know much about this jaw surgery like myself, I'll be like, so what do I do? Who do I trust? You know, experience can be devastating. Finding that community in times like that, the community that would support you and say, look, it's okay, it happens, and it's just a part of the process, is very important. And I was very grateful to find that community at the right time, and I was also really grateful to find a surgeon that I was happy with in the end. I've seen quite a few altogether, and it's not just me, you guys. The advice to go and see as many surgeons as you potentially can see is the advice that I saw on the jaw surgery Facebook group, and this is literally the advice that many people follow themselves, because it's just good for your own peace of mind to do that, because things do go wrong, and though it's not advertised as much online, people do get results that first they're not happy with, or the results that change their entire life for the worst. I don't think I should be going into too many details in this documentary about it, but I just wanted you to know that the outcomes of the jaw surgery are not always 100% positive, not just cosmetic wise but health wise. You can get lifelong effects from it that you will regret forever, and you just need to be very careful for that reason as well, finding a surgeon you would trust your health with.
So I consulted 2 different surgeons. A maxillofacial surgeon when I was 16, which was before my jaw journey really started, because I had my therapy surgery and my braces when I was 18 and 19. So went and saw him, and I just didn't like him. We just didn't hit it off. I don't know what it was about him, but I I didn't like the way he was going on, so I just said it to Mum. I was like, I don't think I'd like him to do my surgery. And he was talking about doing loads of other things as well, and I just didn't like it. So the next surgeon I went to was a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. I went in, had my consultation with him, and he was so lovely. He talked to me about everything, talked me through every single step of what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, a rough timeline on when it might possibly happen. So my timeline was given for June 2020. Obviously COVID hit, and then all of those surgeries were cancelled, so it didn't happen until June 21. He still gave me a rough timeline, explained to me how everything was going to happen. I just felt more comfortable with him. I went home and I done some research on him and on the other surgeon that I had also gone and seen, and he just had more experience working with soft tissues, and even just like his mannerism and the way he went on, he seemed more gentle, which I know sounds ridiculous, but he seemed more gentle and more kind. So then I was like, well, if he's gonna be pulling bones and muscles and nerves in my face, I prefer maybe somebody that's a little bit more gentle, so I might have less risk of maybe being left with some sort of nerve damage afterwards. And I was asking him, I was like, do you have many patients with it? And he does jaw surgeries almost every single day of the week and loads of surgeries, and he says out of the 300 or 400 odd patients that he's done in the past year or two, he said he's had one. I was like, well, I feel comfortable with those odds. 1 in 400, like I was like, I trust this man. I'm really happy with how it went. I'm really happy that I went with him, because I know if I went with the maxillofacial surgeon, he would have just brought my jaw forward. I'd probably still be unhappy on my side profile because my chin would probably still be too far back. It wouldn't be like flush where it's meant to sit. In the end, I was really happy that I went to him, because he done just that like moving your chin. Obviously when someone's in there moving your jaw, it doesn't really take much more to bring your chin a little bit forward if it's going to make a massive difference to a person's confidence or that. Yeah, so I was just really happy that I went with him in the end.
How many surgeons did I see? This is the embarrassing part. I saw one, and after seeing some people do multiple consultations and everyone says get a second opinion, I guess it makes me feel like I probably should have seen more, but I still really feel comfortable with the one that I am going with. And there's not a lot of choices in my city, so it was either like his group of surgeons or another group of surgeons that did oral surgery. And like I said, I feel comfortable with him, and he does a lot of them. Actually, he's not in any networks insurance, so you have to pay out-of-pocket surgeon fees. Part of that is because they know you don't have a lot of options and they don't get reimbursed much at all from insurance companies.
Wow, what a journey it has been, you guys. It's crazy. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how strong all of us are for deciding to start this process, going ahead with this process, recovering from jaw surgery, and being open about the process and sharing the experience with people all over the world. I think it deserves respect. I think it's amazing. I want to say that looking at all the footage, just making this documentary, rewatching every single vlog I filmed earlier this year from the very beginning of my process to find milestones I could use to make this documentary as interesting as it could be. It's truly been a very interesting experience. Reliving those moments brought up a lot of emotions in me. It's just been so crazy looking back at everything I went through, and you know, I'm just so glad that I made a decision to make this documentary. I'm really glad that I made a decision to get in touch with other people around the world and make it as diverse and as full of value as it could be, because as we all know, this process is not the same for everybody. Everyone has their own things that they bring to the process and their own experiences, their own thoughts based on where they are or their age, or you know, there's so many things that you need to take into account. And that was the whole point of me making this documentary, to just bring all of these experiences together in one place for people who are going through this process, or for people who've been through this process, to look through and hopefully not feel so alone in it, as it can be quite alienating experience. I wanted to say thank you guys for watching it, and as I am only 2 weeks away from having my upper jaw surgery, I am going into this process knowing full well that it's been worth it so far, and I would not have it any other way, despite the fact that it's been quite dramatic for me. I think through this process I've learned a lot, I've grown as a person, I've made a lot of friends, and more than anything I've had an opportunity to film everything and share it with you guys. So I appreciate that this part of my life happened to me this year. I am so grateful that I've been through it. I believe that it's not been for nothing. All of it's been worth it. One last thing that I wanted to add to this documentary is the positive thing that we all want to get from this jaw surgery, and from what I've seen, the biggest reason why people go ahead with this process is to boost their self-confidence, and this is surely my reason as well. I'd like to be able to look at myself smiling in a camera or in the mirror every day and just not feel self-conscious about it, just feel good about myself as I look, my smile looks. I believe that it would help me be a better version of me, because I won't be thinking about how I look all of the time. I'll just be in the moment and enjoy the moments as they pass, as opposed to focusing too much on my looks. Let's hear from other people what they think about the jaw surgery process and what benefits it can bring to their life.
I really think this jaw surgery is going to change my life in more ways than I can imagine. For a start, I know it's going to make me more confident, it's going to make me want to smile more in photos, it's going to not make me be so self-conscious of myself, you know, all of the time. And I genuinely think it's just going to make me a nicer person to be around, because I'm not going to constantly be on edge, that people are, you know, paranoid that I think people are looking at me. I'm just going to be more calm, relaxed, happy to be here.
I do think the biggest thing will probably be confidence. I really do not like my profile. It'll hopefully be quite a big confidence boost, because I compensate quite a lot. If I'm just like sitting normally and trying to talk to people, I will try and push my jaw forward, so it would be nice to not do that and to just have a good jaw, I guess, have a nice profile. As vain as it sounds, yeah, I think confidence and aesthetically, I think it'll be a big improvement. Will hopefully change my life in a good way.
It's so sad that because of few millimeters on your face that this is not in the right place, you feel worse, and you have the same value. I hope that my relationship with others stays like more calm, showing myself without having this self-consciousness all the time about how others they see me, or with this stupid gesture like covering my video of my face because it's too long, or because I cannot close the mouth properly, or because I have a little bit of a gummy smile. I hope it makes things a little bit easier, and definitely my quality life improves a bit.
I hope the jaw surgery will change my life in that I feel comfortable smiling, because it's something that you want. I mean, when you're happy, you smile, and it's just like kind of puts a damper on if you're like hiding and, you know, like this, or then you look silly because you're trying to hide your mouth. Or I don't want to look at a picture when I'm happy, smiling, you know, candid shot, and think negative about it. You know, I would rather just feel a little bit better about the way that I look, I guess.
A huge thank you once again for watching this documentary. It's been a huge project of mine this year, and I'm just so grateful that you opened this video in the first place and, you know, watched it and everything. So thank you for that, and I'll see you soon in my other documentary that I'll be working on about the jaw surgery recovery process. So I hope to see you back on my channel, and if you're interested, I'll be vlogging a lot about my jaw surgery recovery, so expect a lot of videos covering that subject. And thanks guys, bye!